Today I want to talk about the difference between men and women in a sexual context. Women often describe their favorite sexual experiences very differently to men. While men are focused on getting somewhere fast, genital stimulation and often very visual, women are often more focused on how they feel, taken, safe, loved and the buildup. Women grow up with very different messages around sex, and this is part of the reason their response and needs are very different. Women are taught to be the protectors of sex, and they can be labeled as slut and be expelled from their social circle or the laughing stock if they don't follow this. This is an extremely painful emotion, and so many women often comply with this social norm and learn to suppress their sexual urges. So it's no wonder it's hard for some women to get in touch with their sexual desire. Women often take longer to get there. This is partly due to difference in men and women's biology and hormonal structure, but it's also the social messages we're subjected to as we grow up. This is why some women can only feel desire through their man's desire, when he's turned on by them. This explains why these women enjoy a man that can take charge, and it allows them to let go of sexual responsibility in order to feel more. Women have just as much sexual capacity, if not far more than men. However, they learned as children to suppress these urges because it was deemed wrong or dangerous, and that men just wanted to use them. They learned to be the gatekeepers and say no, or worse, to see sex as a duty regardless of how they feel. That's a hard place to feel desire from and explore one's own pleasure. This is a social norm that was created by a male-dominated culture that wanted a level of control over women. Men created shame around female sexuality so women would not express themselves freely and would be easier for men to control. Sadly, after so many years of this culture, women have to some degree accepted this and now enforce it, keeping themselves and others sexually suppressed. So many women today are still dependent on their man's desire to feel their own and rely on the man to take responsibility. It's still the reality you have to face today, so we have to relate to that in order to move forward. If you understand this, you don't get frustrated with women, but can help them tap into their desire through your acceptance and encouragement, which will hopefully help free them from this fallacy. Women can get in touch with their own sexuality and allow themselves to explore and enjoy their bodies just for the pleasure of doing so. We live in a society that expects women to be outwardly sexy all the time and attractive, and yet not sexual and sleep with many men. Many women don't learn about pleasure growing up and mainly learn about how to avoid pregnancy and sexual diseases and avoid being taken advantage of by men. From a man perspective, it can be confusing that women dress sexy but might not feel sexual desire or be ready. I hope this makes it clearer. The most common complaint from women in long-term relationships is lack of sexual desire, and no wonder when you look at what messages they grow up with and the lack of information helping men understand women's sexual response. Many cultures also indicate that women are only valuable in the context of their relationship with a man. Our culture expects women to show their beauty, and we judge women by their physical beauty. And at the same time, women are bombarded with messages about how their bodies should look like and how imperfect they are. Just look at magazines, advertising posters with photoshopped women or porn stars with fake this and that. For these massive industries, it makes sense as women spend more money buying clothes, makeup, cosmetic operation if they feel bad about themselves. However, from a sexual perspective, it's horrible because now everyone has insecurities and feel bad about parts of their body, which doesn't allow them to feel as much pleasure during sex and be fully present. It can lead to less sexual enjoyment and therefore, of course, less desire. Let's be clear, both women and men lose from this culture, so why do we accept it? Girls are also taught to be good and nice and take care of others as a priority over their own needs. This often leads to them not getting in touch with their own needs and desires and become unable to communicate these clearly to their man. At the same time, they receive the absurd message that true love and that somehow magically their true love will know what they want and need. Fake orgasms are part of many women's learned behavior just to please the man. They have learned to prioritize a man's needs, his ego, over their own needs, that they would rather sacrifice their own pleasure not to hurt him. The man is completely unaware that what he's doing is not working, and this only leads to terrible sex, emotional disconnect and low sexual desire. Women are easily distracted during sex, meaning that small things like duties for the next day, the angry boss, can make them lose desire. By understanding and see, perhaps you can go a few steps back again and rebuild that desire. Sex is not a line from A to B. There will be increases in desire, then decrease, and so on, and you can rebuild that again. If you get frustrated or angry, it will definitely turn off desire and shut her down emotionally, leading to no sex and disconnect. Enjoy the journey and focus less on orgasm or getting inside. Then you might find a lot of new pleasure you never even knew existed. Have fun.